GRYSKLL.
I'm a big Joe Button fan. I met Joe Button's street team when I was battle rapping as a youngin. Man, it's crazy because Joe's like a year or two older than me, but his street team was always coming down to Connecticut around that time, Pump It Up era, and it was just like I just fucked with somebody speaking about not so street shit. You know, like we are street kids, we from the streets, but he talking about some street shit that's not like your typical street shit. So Joe Button was clowning Maul, because every time they would do their shit on the podcast, Maul would always play some Griselda shit or something. Always, if it wasn't Griselda, it was somebody affiliated with Griselda. Okay. So one day Joe Button was like, man, you boom Baptain America ass nigga. you boom Baptain nigga, you Baptain America. And I was like, that just sound hard.
Yeah.
I was like, Maul ain't rapping no time soon. I'm taking that shit. So I took Baptain America from Joe Button, Clown, and Maul.
Okay.
And
that's hilarious.
And MF Doom being a hero of mine, and superhero Marvel Comics being some shit that I love. Back to the brother that we did the meditation joint with. Mm-hmm. Me and some of the other guys, they was like never wanted to show their faces on the gram or on Facebook, because where we from in Hartford, sometimes people just don't want to show their faces and have people that they work with seeing a different side of them. Like, oh, yo, like I work with kids or I work with these people. I don't want them to see me rapping all this shit or whatever. Like, I do this for me. Like how you said, I do it for me. Mm-hmm. So, but I had an idea, like, yo, what if the illest dudes in my hood came together and put out music with masks on? That way, you know, you don't have to worry about nobody knowing who you are, or sometimes people feel like, yo, I'm a little too older to be doing this shit now, whatever. So I was like, man, fuck that. You know, how much stuff are we too old to be doing that motherfuckers still be doing out here? Right. You know what I mean? Like, you too old to be out here doing this, so you too old to be out here doing that. You too old to be out here doing that. And y'all niggas still be doing it. So I'll be damned if somebody gonna tell me I'm too old to fucking rap.
Yeah, that's a very, very interesting spin on that, yo. I've never looked at it like that.
Yeah.
Tony Hawk still skating.
Word.
Mick Jagger still fucking tearing down stages.
Right.
Rolling Stones. That was my first real stadium concert. Was going to see the Rolling Stones. My first concerts were all rock and roll concerts. So being outside as a young kid, I always wanted to be on a big stage or doing something. So yeah, nobody ever gonna tell me
Word.
I'm too old to rap, like, or I'm too old to do some dope shit.
Madonna's still doing her thing.
Huh?
Madonna's still doing her thing.
Just keep it in context in this hip hop shit, man. All these boys that's coming up, all these dudes that we look up to right now, who are the best lyricists, MCs in the game? Let's run it down. Black Thought, J. Cole, Freddie Gibbs, Benny the Butcher, Conway, Lupe Fiasco, Mickey Fax, Ransom, RJ Payne. None of these niggas young.
None of them. Not even
Cole no more. And Cole wasn't even in the category that he's in now.
He had to fight into that category. Yeah.
He grew into this shit. Yeah.
He had the potential always, but he had to take a travel, and he had to take a detour because of the route he took.
Nigga, Jay-Z wasn't always in that class. Hov wasn't always looked at that lyrical rep, lyrical.
Sophie and what was the other one? The Can I Get Open? Yeah. People weren't looking at him as like a lyricist at that time.
The top lyricists in the game are always OG cats until, aside from that golden era of the 80s and the 90s where they were making it, they were actually creating that shit in real time.
Yeah.
So it's like those dudes, they're the pioneers of it. And if you look at some of them dudes, they might have been old too, because they motherfuckers looking old. So, you know how you see old pictures and they look younger now than they did when they was actually younger?
Yeah.
So, you know, it'd be like that sometimes, you know. So if anybody...
That's how I kind of remember hip hop. It was, when looking at the album covers, they had on, you know, tux, they had on hats, you know, they were older. So it was my place to listen at that time. So it comes from a culture of older to the new, to the young.
Yeah.
Now it's switched where the young, I was going to say that name, but the youngin are switched and we're looking up like, oh, really? You should do this? Shut up. You know? Yeah, that's just the flip though. Yeah, definitely. All the lyricists are older.
Real quick though, Shy, you now you're a little loud, so
shit.
Gotta adjust your mic again.
My man, thank you.
Oh, okay.
How's that now?
Yeah.
That's better. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's very true though. That's very true.
I just want to go on record and have it noted that about 3 old joke MCs came to my head, and I didn't say not one of them. I just want to be on record. I just want to be on record.
Say them.
I don't even know what they were now. They was, they was all about.
Oh, you mean the 3 that I mentioned?
No. Me and Demond got a little something. So I was just about to say, because I'm a couple years older than he is, and I just took a major L to him. So I was about to thank him for acknowledging my dopeness as an elder statesman. That was all.
Now I know what you're talking about. But to the credit how we got started, you know, me and him, we battled twice. No hard feelings in the first round, no hard feelings in the second round.
Oh, nah.
You know what I'm saying? So, but bringing together what we were saying with the youngin earlier, but yeah, we're able to now go back and see how dope it was, even laugh about it, because that's all it was that moment in time. It wasn't nothing to be taken personal. And all
I love battling, man. I've gotten really cool with dudes I battled.
Yeah.
Cause it's like I come from a boxing background.
Okay.
And I also come from a background where we gonna fight with our hands, because if we don't, we gonna kill each other.
Somebody's not gonna go home. Right.
Yeah. So same thing with this music shit or whatever. Like, you know, I've battled people that
Hey yo, I'm sorry.
I've battled people that died. Meaning they died in that battle and they never came back.
Shit.
So I come from that era in my hood. Like, I can't lose to this nigga. Like, because if I lose bad enough, I might never come back. So I had dudes call me out in my hood when I was running through my battle rap days. And it was like, oh, word, you want this smoke? All right. And it was just, you know, blowing smoke at the chimney, you know what I mean? And, you know, then, you know, yeah, you better have a lot of fire when you come for the chimney. So, you know, I always have that chip on my shoulder that want to go hard as possible to not lose, but then also knowing that at some point, you know, if you do anything competitively long enough, you'll run into somebody that's going to take you out of there, you know. So,
right.
I remember how dudes reacted when I was the one doing the taking out, you know, and it was all love. And even from my standpoint, some of the dudes that I really didn't like after we battled was like, yo, love, keep it moving. Especially where I'm from in Hartford, super violent, super crazy at times. That battle rap, in my opinion, made it easy to just like get some aggression out and then just like be easy.
Wow. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like breakdancing all over again.
That's, people don't understand, that's actually the origins of the battles.
Yeah.
You know, I built with some people from New York up top that was really around when it happened, when hip hop was in the inception of it, and you know, people that was around, you know, the Zulu Nation and all of that. And people don't realize that all of this stuff came from a place where people was in the streets and really, you know, really on some street shit where it was like, you know, the elements of hip hop were made and came together so that people would not be causing destruction to, you know, the environment and to one another. So that those elements of hip hop actually gave people the tools to be able to express themselves and then take it a step further where we could battle, you know what I'm saying? Like graffiti battle, B-boy battle, rap battle, DJ battle, like everything just became a battle. But when the battle's over, all right, let me see you next time, son.
Right.
You know, I think we could, it would be lovely if that came back. And that's one of the things that I'm looking to do in my community is use the elements of hip hop to show these kids, like, you know, and not only kids, because we all kids, man. We somebody kid, you know. So even a 40-year-old kid, a 50-year-old kid, you got a mom's or a grand, you know, you got some people that's above you. You somebody's kid. So all kids need to learn that hip hop was made for this, but it's not being used in that way. It's actually, you know, it's being pimped and taken advantage of and transformed into something else. And so that's my duty, and my mission is to like make sure that I let these kids out here know where this shit came from, and also, you know, how they should appreciate and also do some knowledge, research where this shit came from.
Yeah. That's what I was just thinking. I'm thinking like if it was a life form, hip hop, so to speak, and it traveled from one side of the globe to another. I mean, it would take 30, 40 years just to get it over there. So now you got to deal with the interpretations along the way. So these are just the interpretations, like the Atlanta interpretations, the Memphis, the pimp shit, the dope shit. It's like all these interpretations are coming back around because a lot of my guys are older. I'm kind of like the only one that still do it. Mm-hmm. But they don't do it because they own some old. I don't do that because I'm old. But at the same time, I'm kind of happy that they're putting out all this auto-tune because once clear boom bap shit come through, it can just move right, it can come right through because there's so much madness out there. All this auto-tune, as soon as a motherfucker come through saying some shit, it's gonna be that much easier. So that's pretty wild though, man. It's kind of like a life form though. I don't know what I'm thinking about, Bobby.
No, it just like I said when we first started, man, it's creation. You know, yeah. Also you have, you know, where you had just mentioned you still the only one that's at it and getting busy with it, and others like, yo, you know, I'm a little older and stuff like that. And you have all these different interpretations and genres and subgenres. I think it's dope to have all the different sounds and all the different shit. Like when I being a kid that was coming up under hip hop in the 90s, I feel like that was one of the best eras. I'm pretty sure that people that came before me would be like, yo, that was the best era, but only because we still had a gap, it wasn't a gap there, you know, it was a bridge. And it was, so you still had dudes like the Cool G Raps, you still had dudes like the Marley Marls, you know, you still had all of these guys that were really pioneers, the KRS-Ones, the Rakims, that all were, nobody was pushing them out. Like, get the fuck out of here. Nobody was pushing them out. It was just like, if anything, it was the, you know, maybe record companies and different people that tried to push those guys out. But the culture always embraced them. And then the people that came up under them embraced them, and they've been able to age more gracefully, you know. And I think one of the reasons is because, you know, as you get older, you just become wiser and you want to just preserve what you are and preserve who you are. For some of us, you know, so I think that you'll see people continuously creating and making music, and not worrying about necessarily what other people are gonna think from it. You know, it's like, yo, I love this shit. You know, I'm gonna keep putting music out. You know, and I think that's beautiful and a great example for the generation now that at times, you know, likes to slight those elder statesmen or try to clown them for still being around. It's like, I don't know, them elder statesmen and them OGs are literally still laying forth a blueprint and a path for you to age gracefully as well.
Yes.
Right.
But it's like Roy said, you just always talking all this own your master shit, but if it's not good.
The master's not good.
Yeah. You can have a master's and own a master's for a bunch of trash shit. You know, it ain't gonna matter anyway.
Listen to him, you're not gonna monetize.
Wow, that's a hell of a
that's a clip right there. We got to clip that
for
one.
sure, right? For sure.
Hey, you know, you say how you talk about how you teach the youth, man, and it's evident and clear, like watching you, man. I see you with what's his name, Tang Sauce, and a bunch of youngins, man. Who's some of the youngins you roll with? Tell us about that, man.
Yes. So you mentioned one of them, Tang Sauce, John Tang Sauce, Mansell Young. Just aside from the comedy, I would say he's like a Jamie Foxx, and he. You know, I'm pretty sure if he wanted to be a comedian, he could. You know, kid's incredibly talented. But yeah, Tang Sauce, Klokwize is another young MC from my hood, but not a young MC in the standpoint of his experience. Klokwize has been a touring artist, has had his own band, has worked with DJ Quick, Warren G, you know, been in the studio with like just legendary people, man. Murder Mooks, all kind of just a wide range of people. Klokwize has been in the studio with and also on stages with. He's really out of all the people that I really mess with in my hometown, he's probably one of the dudes that really has been able to touch that that success in many different ways. You know, ESPN First Take, you know, doing stuff on there. Just ESPN period, having some music that was picked up on there by their producers and stuff of that nature was really huge because ESPN is in Connecticut. So it was like, it definitely was something that resonated big with them. Another brother who's closer to my age, but still a young man is Marvalyss. If you don't know who Marvalyss is, man, thank me later. Marvalyss. 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 Dope fucking MC, you know, from Connecticut, Hartford, Connecticut, you know, DJ Premier be playing his shit on his J45 station. So that's about, you know, OC, Digging in the Face crew and all of those guys, you know, yeah, they rock with him heavy. So also, there are some other youngins in my hood, you know, Flank 45. We also have Fuego Bass, you know, recently signed to BSF Records with, you know, that's Benny the Butcher's favorite rapper. That's just a current MC that's doing his thing. He's from my hood. We have a lot of dope MCs in Hartford of all ages, man. I ran into a dude the other day who was like not doing well, but is an OG, and you could tell time is, you know, he going through some rough times. You know, looked like some drug and alcohol use, and he's just looking real bad. And I'm like, I seen him, and he told me his name, and I was like, that sounds like a rapper name, like, you know what I mean? And I'm like, he was like, yeah, I used to rap. I'm like, let me hear something. And like, he started spitting something. This dude drunk, high, like you could tell he fucked up. He going through some tough real life shit. And he's spitting some hard. And the only reason I ain't film him is because I know he's going through some real life shit and I wouldn't want anybody to feel like I was clowning him or something. But I'm standing there and he going off and I'm just like, this is crazy. Like even the drug addicts and the alcoholics and the licks in my hood are like lyrical lyricists. Like it's nuts. So yeah, if I sat here and tried to list them all, I would definitely miss some names. But yeah, you named a couple of them, and just dope, man. Original.
Is Cambatta from Hartford or is he from somewhere else?
I don't believe he's from. He's not from Hartford. But that's not to say that he doesn't have somebody that's a family member or something that might be in Hartford, because that's something that's very prevalent as well. Like motherfucker be living in Stanford or something and be like, I got my cousin and my grandmother live in Hartford. You know what I'm saying? But Bada is oh my gosh. Like he is amazing, man. I often listen to Cambatta like just to like get me just to want to rap. Like when it's like, damn man, I'm being lazy right now, whatever, and I'll be like, you heard that shit that he got? You heard Burning Monk?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
That's some recent shit that he did, Burning Monk. And
I think he's supposed to be dropping an EP soon, right?
Yeah, we were supposed to work on something together. But the mutual friend was on some fuck shit, so it never came to be. But Cambatta, I was hearing about him years and years ago. So when he came with Deluxe freestyle, when we came with Deluxe collaborations and all of that, I was just so happy to hear him, because the first time I actually heard him, I was like, ooh, fuck is this? Like he's always had that.
Yeah.
And then rest in peace, Blackastan, man. Blackastan from Hartford, Connecticut. Like probably the most well-known MC from our city and state and region, this whole New England shit, when it's as far as just being like a worldwide backpack, like hip hop. Blackastan was that guy, man. He definitely was, and still is, because his music lives on.
Primo loved him, right?
Oh yeah. Yo, it's crazy when he passed away. Primo, Bumpy Knuckles, Static Selector, Terminology, like the people that are the rappers, and the producers, they are the ones that definitely was like getting, they was definitely showing him wild love, and it was just like, wow. Because I grew up with that guy. I didn't know him as Blackastan until very recently, a couple years ago. I just always looked at him and was like, I know his face and I know who he is, but I didn't know that was my childhood friend, because we separated. He went through some real life stuff and got incarcerated. And then the projects we grew up in were like, gentrified, you know what I'm saying? It was supposed to be a redevelopment deal that turned into a gentrification. So we lost contact. But Blackastan, again, for anybody that tunes in and doesn't know who Blackastan is, thank me later, because that one right there, whew, he was incredible.
Damn, man. It's cool. What's up, brother?
Peace. Who in the building?
Hello, everyone. How are you?
How you doing, man?
I'm doing okay. Hello, Hydro. How are you, Mr. Hydro?
Peace. I'm doing well, sir. How you?
I saw that new video. You getting out the car. Somebody getting out the car. You started rapping. That was dope.
Yeah, man. We were trying to come up with some dope content, not just rapping, because I guess that's not enough no more to just be dope. Gotta do some other silly shit like running out of the cars and doing all these.
You gotta do artwork. You gotta know the people that run the podcast.
All right, pay the podsters.
It helps, man. That's gonna be the new hashtag, pay the pod. But no, for real, some of these podcasts be getting paid more than these rapping ass dudes getting paid, man. That's real talk.
It's the new hustle, man.
Yeah, I appreciate, you know, being someone that loves to talk and converse. I definitely see this, this being a something that is, just duplicated in the future. You seeing it now, like there's podcasts popping up every single day. I think there's like millions of podcasts, and I'm gonna start a podcast after this episode.
That's part of why I said when we started, I was like, yo, I don't want it to be a podcast, man. But it's not a podcast. It's not a podcast. We don't know what it is, but it's not a podcast.
But I think I was talking
in all essence, we for real it is a podcast, I guess. But
I would say it's.
But the purpose was never to it was never. The driving force was never to become rich. Cats. I was talking to a dude I work with, and he's like, "Yeah, man, we did 2. We ain't had no listeners, so we folded." Like, you was being mad unrealistic if you thought after 2 joints you was gonna have 10 million followers. Like, you didn't even go in it with the right mindset. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah. People, art is art, man. How do you put a price tag on art? That's one of the most difficult things I run into at times. There's a lot of art in my community. We have a fucking museum in the downtown section of where I'm from. We have art exhibits everywhere. We have art studios, and it's just it's hard to put a price tag on art, especially when so many people are attempting to put a price tag on art. I always think the best art that you're making with the sole purpose of just making the art, and those would be the things that later on it'll be like, yo, man, did you ever think that hit was gonna take off? And they'll be like, yo, no, man, that was just the one that I really loved or we really liked or whatever. Everybody was really fucking with that. And it's like, it just is what it is. Too many times people have a mindset that they're gonna do something and it's purely driven behind them making some money. And when it doesn't happen, it's easy to see why they don't stay consistent with what they're doing. Just having this conversation earlier about making music and streaming and stuff like that, and it's like everybody's like, yo, you gotta make music and stream and do this, that, and the third, and I'm like,
yeah,
perhaps, maybe not.
Yeah, I always say, yeah, you can do that. It can be done.
It's like about the podcast thing, but it's like podcast like the new hip hop of communication.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the way for the people who don't have all that money and all that, the radio shows and all that. It's just their way to communicate and get out their thoughts. It's like the podcast is like the new cipher.
Yeah, I think it's dope. I think it's anytime somebody wants to express, what they have going on and they have the ability to do so, I think it's dope, man. I know I still struggle with all of this shit because I'm from the time when you actually went to physically go do shit. So
we all are, hell.
Yeah, so a lot of these podcasts and a lot of these, even what we're doing right now, like, could you imagine like 10, 15 years ago, like we would have had to go meet up somewhere.
Yep.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have been able to do this at all. So, I like that. I like that we're using the technology to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Because normally we wouldn't be able to. I'd just be on the phone with one guy, hey, yo, let's patch in and have a conference call or whatever. Like, this Zoom space has gotten better. The online spaces have gotten better to where it makes it able, people that normally wouldn't be able to connect, it makes you easier to connect. And then technology has also made it super easy for anybody with anything to show forth, to have the ability to do it. Whether it be a song or whether it be music or a podcast or, I've seen people on YouTube like remake the Matrix movies where it's like niggas in the hood with like some fucked up, like some funny like some funny like funny special effects or something that they got from an app or something like that. Like I done seen the, you know, Matrix, different Matrix versions with like hood niggas and different shit. But it's just technology is making it so that it's at your fingertips now. Like the studio is in the palm of your hands. Like, you know, you can literally like record music and record. I know people that have recorded some dope albums on their phone. Just because they were so well versed at doing whatever it was, you know, what they were doing with their phone, that it's just like they can make it sound dope. So I like that aspect of it. You know, the downside is that everybody's gonna do some shit. You know, you got people that, you know, just dilute stuff, you know, and but you know, the more the merrier. You know what I mean? I always say that the more the merrier, because, you know, just like you mentioned before, you're gonna have those people that's gonna put up something and get 2 plays and then they retired. They no longer rapping no more. They not singing or potting or whatever creative. So it's like, all right, cool. They, you know, some people gonna weed themselves out, no matter what.
Mr. Hydro, can I ask you, like, I ask this kind of often, but I think this is so relevant. Seeing, you know, your thoughts about hip hop and the relevancy of people's voices in these spaces and how everyone tries to communicate. What was your earliest moment, or I'm not sure if this question was asked already, like when did you decide like, yo, I am hip hop, or I wanted to do hip hop? Was there a song? Did something happen to you? What inspired you? What's the first like thing that you could remember that got Mr. Hydro into hip hop? Or you decided like, that's what I want to do?
I was in middle school. I think it was like 5th, 6th grade, and they had a talent show. And one of my friends, we were like the class clowns. You know, we was always doing silly shit. So we was like, yo, talent show coming up. We about to be in the talent show or whatever. So then a couple of my other boys was like, yo, we about to be in the talent show too. So we was like, yo, what y'all about to be doing? They was like, we about to rap. I was like, word or whatever. We was like, yo, what about if y'all rap and me and Martin, we're gonna dress up like Wanda and Shanae, and we're gonna be dancing and shit, doing like just some dumb shit while y'all rapping or whatever. And they was like, and my boys was like, yo, that's funny as fuck. So like they was like, let's do it or whatever. So like we had a really good music teacher that we took advantage of. And because she was so loving and just like she just was so happy that we were so into music class and chorus and everything that she was working on with us, that she took a liking to us and kind of just to let us do like whatever the fuck we want to do. So we would, she was like, hey, you guys want to work on your talent show performance? You can come down here and rehearse or whatever. And we would like, so we would get passes from her during the day and go down to the room, to the music room, and literally be by ourselves in a band room. It was 4 of us, 5, 2 MCs, then 2 class clowns, and 1 drummer who just was like, he was just playing on a real drum set. And I remember going in there, right? And I remember these girls coming to watch us like audition or whatever. Like just rehearsing stuff, and they looking at us doing what we doing, and I'm like, I was like, yo, I really don't want to do this silly shit. Like I really want to I want to do it they doing. And I was like, just seeing them like when they started rapping and doing their routine and shit, and we like dancing, and I couldn't even dance. Like I'm over here dancing, I'm like, what the fuck is they doing? Like. And I remember going to my boys like, yo, I'm not doing no dancing shit or whatever. Martin could do that dancing shit. I want to rap. Like I want to rap. And they was like, word, like, yo, we'll teach you how to rap. Like, and it was basically them like, just like going over their bars and materials and kind of like they tried to write a verse for me, and I was like, after like the first couple bars and shit, I was like, I found that I could do it. I'm like looking at how they're doing it, and I'm like, I could do that shit. Like, I've always been witty, I've always been fast, I've always been quick to like joke and rap and rank on people and stuff like that. So it was one of those things where it was like, nah, man, I'm gonna do this myself. So that talent show, I wrote my bars and we performed it, and the response, like the response that we got, I was the last one. I think I'm not sure where I was in the sequence of the rhyming, but I know that my man was playing live drums, and the crowd, every time one of us started rapping, the crowd was going fucking crazy. And we in 6th grade, so this is like 11 years old, 12 years old, you know, getting this type of response. And it was like, I was hooked. After that, I was hooked. I was always had a pen, always had a pad. And like, dumb niggas don't even rap no more. You know what I'm saying? Like I've been caught up to them, and then like they always was like, you know, like the dudes that got me started. So we always had a real special bond and connection or whatever, but it always like, they always would come to me and just be like, damn son, it's ill to see like where you came from. And we started in like 6th grade in this talent show, and now you like you really out here like on Freestyle Friday and shit like that. I'm battling and all this, and it's like that moment right there, yo, the talent show at South Middle School, 6th grade. That's what made Hydro a rapper. And my name was High C. Cause my first name is Hiram and my last name is Cardona. So my first, you know, everybody will always be like, yo, what up, High? Yo, what up, High? Yo, what up, High? They're like, yo, what's your rap? What's gonna be your rap name? And I'm like, High C. Like, you know what I mean?
That's dope.
High C.
That's dope.
You know, and then, yeah. Along the line, one of my friends in the hood in boxing, my name is Hiram. So he would be like, Hiram. And he was a heavy dude. So when he would get out of breath at times, he'd be like, now Hiram, and he would talk real fast or whatever. So he'd be like, Hi. It went from Hiram to Hydrum to Hydra to Hyro. And then one day he was like, Hydro, like all day. And I'm like, and somebody was like, yo, that shit sound dope, man. I was like, what? And he was like, he called you Hydro. And I was like, this nigga just been mispronouncing my name like for fucking months.
Oh man, that's hilarious.
One mispronunciation and it stuck. So, but yeah, talent show at school.
That's dope.
That's dope, man.
Yes.
I was in chorus. I used to sing in Miss Jackson class, and I wanted to be in chorus because all the girls was just in chorus. There was only a couple of us guys. Even those dudes that rapped with me, they joined chorus just to be out around the girls and shit like that. And we was like, we all had like, what the hell? It was like, it was all like baritones and tenors and shit. Like none of us was altos, and like we was like, she made us do the do re mi fa. Yeah, that shit. It was like we would purposely try not to do good on that shit, just to be like in the back row with the deep voice singers and stuff. It was like, so we'd be up there like do re mi, like with no harmony, no nothing. She'd be like, all right, you're a tenor, or you're whatever trash motherfuckers is in the back row. You know what I mean?
Get out of my room.
Yeah. I have a lot to give credit to others for what made me the MC that I am today. Like not only those guys, but like teachers that I had in school in my music class. Miss Jackson used to do plays with my teacher, Miss Her. So Miss Her, like the singer Her, but with an extra R. Miss Her and Miss Jackson were like this. They were like sisters at the school, man. So they would always collaborate on doing like musical plays in the school with whoever Miss Her's class was. So it's like they was always gonna do something like that, and they got us into doing It's a Small World, and in It's a Small World, I was the conductor. Mm-hmm. I played the conductor in It's a Small World, so it gave me a lot of time to be one of the focal points of the play, and then like coming from a home that was very violent, you know, a lot of domestic violence in my home. Having my mother come to school and see me on stage and be super proud of me, like that was like that kept pushing. I'm sure that those moments where my mother was in the back of the auditorium waving a pamper in the air, like that's my boy, like people, like my mother was loud, man. Like I get my volume from my mother, not my dad. So my mother would be at the back of the auditorium like, that's my boy. And I could hear her on stage while I'm doing my little thing. I could hear her back there, but it never embarrassed me. It always made me feel.
Word.
It shot me through the roof or whatever. So, yeah, I've walked around with that, I'm sure, my whole MC career.
It's dope that you remember your teachers like that, man. Like, I was sitting here like, yo, I got nothing. You know, I mean, I remember, like, my music teachers, but I don't remember like 5th, 6th grade. I got you by 10 years too. So get at me in 10 years. Let me know if you still remember. But
the reason that those teachers were, the reason that I remember them is because they were memorable.
Word, that's true.
They did things in my life that stuck out. So I don't remember my 1st grade teacher or the kindergarten teacher or the 2nd grade teacher. Oh, I'm sorry. I do remember my 2nd grade teacher, Ms. White, because she was mean as hell. she was a black woman named Mrs. White. So it was always like weird, like yo, you black as fuck, and your last name is White. You know what I'm saying? And she was mean. Like she used to hit us with rulers. Like if you was being bad,
with them joints.
It was like, I was in the hood, bro, but she was just breaking rules. Like, but the crazy shit about it is that she would tell your parents when your parent came to school, like, you know how kids would be like, I'm gonna tell my mother. She'd be like, tell your mother. And you would tell your mother, and your mother would be like, oh yeah, she said, tell me. And your mother would show up to school the next day and she'd be like, yeah, he was doing, and you'd be like, whoa, fuck. Like, she's like, you know what I mean? And you catch another ass whooping, but I had, nothing's coincidental. I feel like the people that really make an impact in your life make an impact in your life, you know. So the people that made an impact in my life were people that, you know, I had to rely on to be like, they were like mothers to me because my mother was abused and ultimately murdered. So my teachers who were friends with my mom's when she was alive.
Sorry to hear that. Sorry.
Yeah, please. Thank you. I appreciate it, man. I witnessed my mother murdered by my stepfather.
Wow.
He attacked. My mother was murdered on May 21st, which is coming up in a few days. My mother was murdered in 1991 on May 21st, which is her mother's birthday. So we were supposed to be visiting her mom, and we were hanging out in the hood. And my mother gets into an argument with her boyfriend, who was violent and who got many violent arguments, many incidents of getting her ass whooped by him. And, you know, so this wasn't even like, didn't seem like anything crazy. You know what I mean? It was just like, oh shit, like, you know what I'm saying? This dude trying to put his hands on my mother again or whatever. Or it's like that normal, you know? And then, you know, so my mother was murdered in broad daylight in Hartford, in a busy area, busy intersection. Like, you know, this dude attacked my mother with a machete. You know what I'm saying? And swung at my mother a couple times and actually, you know, injured her enough that she just, you know, she lost too much blood and ended up passing away later on that day, or shortly after all of this took place. But I went to live with my grandmother, and music has always been my best friend. Hip hop has always been my best friend. It's been an outlet. It's been a place for me to express myself. It's been a safe place. It's been a place for me to be able to get out anger and frustration, and also a place for me to grow and heal. So my mother and a lot of those teachers are directly responsible for who you see here today. You know, my mother and my dad with the DNA and ways that they instilled in me at a very young age. And then these people who kind of took the reins, because my mother was no longer here and my dad was, you know, couldn't be here because dealing with his own issues and things of that nature. So hip hop raised me, man.